Well, as Jane told us, the wait is over. Mission Impossible 3 hitting theaters this weekend just as the summer movie season opens for business. And the box office is counting on a blockbuster. We're joined now by David Brain. He's the CEO of Entertainment Properties Trust. And David, we've all heard about it. Last summer, the summer blockbuster season kind of fizzled out. What are you expecting this summer?
Well, the summer looks really good. All the reports are very positive. Last year was a disappointment. It was weak. Holiday turned out to be real good, up about 10%, so it helped cover some of the summer's deficit. But this summer, everybody's talking about very positively. A lot of everything from franchise films like MI3 to new comedies, Over the Hedge and Cars, which are also family fare, which did very well last year. So a lot of positive buzz right now.
Although, David, for the last 3 years running, we've seen declining box office receipts. Is that the fault of Hollywood for making bad movies, or is it just a sign that Americans are kind of changing their behaviors?
Well, I think it has more to do with content than it really has to do with habits. And most of the fall-off, people talking about the technology-distracted youth, but most of the fall-off has been really in the 50 and older attendance, if you really break down the demographics. So family fare has done very well. Some of the drama, though, that hasn't really drawn in the older audience as well. So I think it's really more content than it is habitual or anything else that America is doing. I think America still likes to go to the movies, and for an average U.S. ticket price of around $6 1/4, and I know that's hard in New York to stomach, but that's what people do for 40, 50 million production value entertainment.
David, people I talk to, and I have to admit, even myself at times, you go to a movie theater, you have people who are taking cell phone calls next to you in the theater. You're talking about popcorn that maybe cost you $6 to get a tin of popcorn. Is there any thought?
Just because my 8-year-old will not let us go out without calling 3 times during the movie.
So it's your fault. I have to sit next to people like Ron through these things, David. Is there any way to kind of change some of the complaints about the in-theater experience?
Well, I wish there were a magic way to do that, but the cell phone is a problem. There's no doubt about it, and that shows up on all kinds of surveys. The operators try and do more with regard to, ushers, people in and around the theaters, but that's
physically take away the phone, right?
Yeah, that's very expensive.
And promos before the movie.
That's right. Do a lot of suggestive stuff. The per capitas, though, at the concession stand are increasing, but it's really changing a lot from popcorn, and it's really still not that different or even lower than most of the other out-of-home experience, or the ball game, for instance. So I know you get a lot of we hear a lot about the popcorn, but it's really not that bad comparatively to other alternatives when you go out.
Well, what's the future of the business? You start hearing people like Bob Iger who are out there saying, we're going to release our movies on DVD at the same time that we release them in the theaters. What would that do to you?
Well, I think that's very important, that closing window with DVDs. But at the same time, I think the dirty little secret that Bob Iger talks about with some investors, doesn't talk a lot about publicly, is the fact that if they go to simultaneous release, most of the studios will be looking for something like a $40 to $50 price point for that software. They'll be looking for a different price than you're used to seeing it on a 120-day delayed release on a mass merchandise basis. So, and there's a lot of indications of that. There's been a couple of video-on-demand download deals cut by Comcast, say with Warner Brothers, at a $40 price point. So I think people are going to be surprised, and I think the theater's still going to look like a pretty good value.
Well, at the end of the day, you think the theaters, the movie houses will be the ones that'll have to suffer from this, the movie makers? If they try that attack?
Well, there certainly are people in Hollywood, from talent to production to direction, everybody lining up against this idea. They think it compromises and it belittles the product. So I don't know what will happen exactly with that. That'll have to weigh against the studios, and we'll let them have that fight. But there's certainly a lot of forces against it and changing the traditional model that kind of marquees that sets out on a pedestal for a while each of these releases in a first-run mode. So,
David, what about this summer? We have the one controversial film that's coming out, the Da Vinci Code, which some Christian groups are suggesting their members boycott. Is it going to have an impact on receipts, or is it just too strong, a book, a novel, and too strong a draw to fail at the box office?
Controversy has rarely been a bad thing for a movie. So I think this will actually draw pretty well. And the Da Vinci Code, huge book, huge audience already sitting out there for it. And it's in controversy, I think a lot of people will want to see it. So I think this will be a plus. Now, look, Passion of Christ is a film that drew a lot of people into the theater that don't come very regularly. So hard to tell what this will do. Maybe those people won't be there. But I think that the film will do well, and it'll help summer.
David, I never thought I would be in a position to have a large screen TV, but the prices have come down to a degree where the screen, it's 40 some odd inches. Panasonic's at a 100-inch television now. I wonder if you think 5-10 years down the road, you really will be able to recreate a movie theater-like experience in your living room without going broke. And is that a danger for the industry?
Well, I'll tell you what, I think that it's getting better at home, but at the same time, the situation in the theater is not standing still. Within the next 24 months, 2 years, you'll see digital implementation and digital video, although it only incrementally better, is significantly better than HD. And then I think you'll see within the next 3 to 4, maybe 5 years, but I think really 3 to 4 years, you'll see probably a broader deployment of 3D in a broader application. You won't have to wear the glasses anymore, but you'll see a 48 frame a second that'll do, 24 red, 24 blue. They'll give you full motion 3D without glasses, and you'll have a different in-theater experience than you have today.
Wow. Sounds like a hologram.
So it's continuing to improve and change at the same time. So is home theater. So it's not a static equation in the theaters.
All right, David, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
David Brain is the CEO of Entertainment Properties Trust.